I just think there's a lot of contradictions that are happening between like things Beane says and then Brady says. And I'm very excited for Jim Leonard. I'm not very excited for Brandon Beane and Joe Brady still. They keep coming off in ways that makes us look laughable as like an organization or a franchise. I don't feel holistically confident in either of them. The fuck you mean you don't know how to answer that? You decided that it was the coaching. Beane has been trying to clean up his messes, but Beane has his own messes to clean up. Brady is excited and exuberant, but not saying the right things. And I'm pumped for Jim Leonard.
Edition of the Rock Pal Report podcast. I'm your host, Bill season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. And in studio with us tonight, Mr. Anthony Prohaska from Cover One. Oh, we've got matching cocktails. This is awesome. Chris, what'd you go to all the trouble to make us?
Anthony obviously has a whiskey sour and you have a Manhattan.
Oh, it's delightful. What's in it? Like, what'd you use?
Rittenhouse rye, and then this is the thing. I opened a bottle of sweet vermouth the other day, and so sweet vermouth only lasts like a week. So now I feel obligated to drink the whole bottle. So I've been drinking sweet vermouth forward cocktails like a Manhattan or a De La Louisiane, or a Vieux Carré. So that's why you get a Manhattan, just so I can burn through this bottle of sweet vermouth.
Burn through the vermouth.
Oh, so it's not a drink because you're being nice. I'm your recycling bin. Nice,
yes.
Idiot.
I need to get my proper value for this vermouth. Here's this drink.
Idiot.
Everybody in the house is like only getting vermouth-based drinks for like the week. Like there's no water, there's no juices. Everything is just vermouth-based. Because he's got this barrel of vermouth.
Benny's like, hey, can I get a glass of milk? And Chris is like, sure. He pours a little vermouth in there. He's like, I gotta find a way to offload this. He's like Andy Dufresne trying to sneak it out of prison.
I'm thinking for the milk though, it's the opposite. Like he gets a glass and fills it up like 3/4 of the way with vermouth, and then he's like, and he goes back to the fridge, grabs like a splash of milk. He's like, there you go.
I'll look at my cocktail book and I'll look at it. I'm like, oh, this looks good. Only calls for a half ounce of vermouth. No, it's got to be at least 3/4 or a full ounce of vermouth.
Unacceptable.
Vermouth and the NFL Combine. Two things that will only last a week. Except one of them, you wish it was much, much shorter.
I thought you were going to say two things that are synonymous with one another.
No. Well, one of them, I have to drink my way through it. If you like, there's no way to watch that sober. What, you're watching dudes run around slapping bags? Stop this.
There's more. I mean, I like the Combine.
Don't you dare step into my house and try to defend the Combine. Hey, look at the riveting.
You don't live here.
Look at the riveting You're right. I don't live here. Look at the riveting content we've gotten just from day one, right? Aaron Glenn falling asleep on national TV.
And that's funny and entertaining. So it
wasn't funny or entertaining to him, and it's his job.
That's unfortunate. Don't fall asleep at the Combine, bro.
He's literally there, and he couldn't give a shit less about this thing.
Well, he's also an example of maybe what not to do. His team is terrible, and they fired everybody but him, and he's probably out.
Robert Saleh. We get to hear that Robert Saleh is super excited that Will Levis is going to be back with the team. These are the headlines you're generating on day one.
Those aren't the headlines. Those are just feeder to go through until we get through things like Sonny Styles jumping out the gym, and we get to see fun things like that aren't the end all be all.
I
have the
It matters. Combine. It measures explosion and athleticism.
I have the Combine out in the main room in the basement, and Anthony came over downstairs, had a piece of one pie. We got one pie out there. Amazing. And then I forget who we were watching. He do some rep, and he's like, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's his bend.
It was like
he just immediately starts critiquing.
That happened. It holds. Is it the end all be all? No, but I think it holds value. And there's some measure entertain. You don't even enjoy seeing if like dudes blaze the 40 and run real fast.
Wasn't ever since John Brown, and I was like, oh wait, so being fast doesn't make you good? All right, well then to hell with this.
But that's such a horrible way to categorize
not John Brown,
it.
What was it? John Ross.
Yeah, from Washington, and then he went to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if speed is the only thing you have, no, that's not good. But there is value to change the 3-cone measuring, change of direction, what the shuttle measures, the explosion metrics for a broad jump, a vertical jump.
It is funny if you look at relative athletic score, not for the score itself, but just for the testing. Like, hey, here's how they scored in this test.
now,
and then you try to say, okay, well, then shouldn't you have been good if you tested this well?
What I think is interesting with that is I do think people take the scores from the combine and will be like, look how athletic this dude is. And it's like, yeah, but he doesn't play that way. Like, yes, like he got a he got like a 9.7 score for his 40 because his weight and height and position blew everybody out of the water, but he doesn't play that fast or he doesn't play to that athleticism. And I think that matters more. So I think I like the combine for seeing things like I have an expectation for certain players based on watching them on the tape. And then if I see something at the combine that overshoots that or undershoots it, it makes me go like, okay, maybe I need to go back. Or if it confirms what I thought, I'm like, man, this dude looks crazy athletic. And then I see him jumping out the gym and he has a great 40 and he moves great. I'm like, that guy should be as high as I think I have him. So I think it has value.
See, it has value to people like you. People like me, we're just here for headlines and sound bites. And that kind of drives a little bit of tonight's show. Like one of the sound bites, or at least one of the tweets I saw about the first day, right? Came from a Buffalo sports reporting figure, Matt Beauvais, who bragged about going to St. Elmo's and ordering his steak medium rare plus.
I think it was Dan Fates.
Or Dan Fates, whoever the hell he is, you stink. Don't order. First of all, you're talking to a guy who has competed in SCA steak competition.
Tell him.
Okay?
Talk.
And I've talked to
chopper sing.
And I've talked to dozens of steakhouse chefs, and all of them will tell you that anything plus is just a term that gets thrown around to trick plebeians into believing they did something special.
That makes me feel somewhat better because I didn't want to belittle myself in front of a grill master such as yourself, but I've never heard of plus for like
because it doesn't exist.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure. I was like, have I been doing this wrong? Like, what is a meat? So for me, like I read medium rare plus, and I think that just means medium.
Medium rare has a feel to it. Like if you take your hand, like
your
the
thumb.
Concept is,
Your
if you
thumb,
take parts
like another
of your
grill
hand,
master in Bill's Mafia, he can just jam his thumb or pinky into
kind
a
of poke
steak.
a steak and he can tell you the doneness.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because the concept is the feel. This is what's going to translate by the time it's done, like the carryover cooking once you take it off. That's going to equate to how it's going to feel when you're chewing on it.
Okay.
And really, that's what your measure for doneness is this going to be tender when I chew it, and what level of tenderness am I getting?
Got it.
So you're almost better off either doing it by temperature or feel, right?
Okay.
So how do you gauge plus?
Yeah, that's fair.
You can't because it doesn't exist.
That's fair.
Somebody goes, oh, well, this feels like medium rare. Now I'm going to plus it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not real.
I don't know what that means.
It's not real.
That mean would just be like, so medium then.
And if you fell for that at a steakhouse, just know that I think less of you. I think less of you because of it.
Do you think he said medium rare plus? And
It was
they
in his
just,
tweet.
No, but I'm saying, do you think he said it in real life and the waiter just like obliged and blew it off? Or do you think the waiter acknowledged it and knew what he was saying?
Oh, I'm positive the waiter said it like it was a real thing because
So
this was for people who don't know meat.
Okay.
This was at St. Elmo's Steakhouse in Indianapolis, which I will be eating there in about 5 weeks.
I would say that's big time. That's big.
Actually, a
time
month. In 4 weeks.
What you got to
I'll be
tell me
eating there.
is there an upcharge to make it plus? Because that would be hilarious if there is.
You know what? I'll
a TV subscription.
I'll come back in the beginning of April with because I'll remember this conversation clearly, and I will ask a waiter or waitress at St. Elmo's when I'm there. I will ask them what medium rare plus is, or
Exactly
medium
how many
plus.
extra. Ask the question. Exactly how many extra seconds do I get on the grill for plus? And if they don't have a good answer, it's because it's fake. With that in mind, again, we like media, we like content. The people like me, the people watching the show, we're all about the content and the headlines and the rumors that come out of this because really that's the underwear Olympics for us. It's just like it means that there's this not legal yet somehow totally acceptable tradition of agent and GM back channeling happening right now.
Yeah. This is where the Von Miller deal with the Bills essentially unfolded.
Yeah,
at the combine.
and so that's where you're getting that. Like that's the juice of this for me. And so with that in mind, you get the headlines, you get the rumors, and some of them almost sound made up, like Derek Carr going to come out of retirement. Yeah. Derek Carr is going to come out of retirement to play quarterback, quote unquote, for a contender. Didn't his shoulder was so shot, he was like, I can't play anymore.
You know what's funny is I heard
Would a contender want that?
I mean, Phillip Rivers did his thing. Phillip
Rivers was just fat. He wasn't bad at throwing a football.
That's true. You know what's funny? I forgot, like, I heard that news about Derek Carr. I heard somebody talking about, like, free agent fits and mentioned Derek Carr. And I'm not saying this, like, meanly or disrespectfully. I just, like, forgot how Derek Carr, like, left. Or, like, I almost don't just, like, completely, like, because the Saints were, like, 2-0 a couple years ago and, like, looked good. And then all of a sudden the bottom fell out and everything went down and he got hurt. And I almost, like, completely... forgot
wrote it
all
off.
of it. Yeah, and then he was completely out of football last year. And so I heard that, and I was
even
like...
his retirement was a surprise.
Yes.
He just sprung it on the team, was like, guys, I don't feel healthy enough to play anymore.
Yeah, I'm out. And so when I hear that made, like, okay, so is that true? Or was he just more like, man, New Orleans is terrible right now. I need to find a way to get out, and then I'll come back in 2026.
He pulled a Sean Payton.
I think when he found out about his...
Payton.
When he found out about his shoulder, he had known... like from that diagnosis that he was going to be out the whole year. And I think even, I want to say it was like one of those he retired in like May or June, sometime around the draft. So I think he knew from the doctors had said, oh, you're going to be out all this year. And then he's like, well, fuck, this team sucks.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'll retire and then
It's all right.
pick up the year after.
But there again, does a contender want that? And are they willing to gamble on it? And what
Minnesota.
would the number be? Yeah, but what would the number be? What would the number have to be in order for him to go do that?
They're super cap strapped. So.
Because they don't have any money.
It will be exactly the same amount of money. If I'm Derek Carr, I go to Minnesota and go, look, McCarthy sucks. I will come play for you if you offer me the exact contract that Seattle gave Sam Darnold.
Oh, that's a decent chunk of change, though, for a guy who's coming off a shot shoulder.
I think that's a hard bargain.
Oh.
And then there's other things that if you've been watching football at all for the last like year, you kind of like already knew were going to happen. Like, think about it. Two guys who have been told, hey, guys, you're free to accept. You're going to see if you can find a trade. Anthony Richardson. Is anyone shocked by that?
I think what bothers me with that, though, is you always knew. This is kind of similar to the Keon Coleman Bills piece. You knew Anthony Richardson was going to be a project. So then, like, you pull the plug on him early because he's not ready. But he wasn't going to be ready. Like, he played, like, 12 games in college.
12 games. 12 games in college, a high school career where he was sort of a runner more than a thrower, and then you throw him into the NFL and go, well, it worked for Josh Allen. He'll figure it out. It's like, no, it doesn't. So now you think about all the quarterbacks who have died on the, Josh Allen did it hill. It's Trey
Lance.
Trey Lance.
He got hurt at least, though. Like, he suffered
Yeah, but he was awful. Like, he's like almost unrosterably bad in the NFL. So you've got him.
Daniel Jones maybe was kind of in that mold.
Daniel Jones maybe, but I'm thinking more along the lines of the Anthony Richardson.
Yes, that is true,
like, there's a bunch
cannon arm, big, athletic.
Josh did it.
We can fix him. We can build him.
It's every guy who's ever ended up divorced and broke.
I was going to say,
I can fix her. You know, he met a girl outside of a bar at 2 a.m. when she was throwing up by the dumpster, and he was like, I could fix her.
I was thinking of the opposite foot. It's the girl who sees, like, the scumbag guy who's always a scumbag, and he's like handsome, and she's like, I can fix him. And then like 5 years later, she's like, I can fix him, and it's just like, you can't. This is who he is.
I know. My wife married that guy, and I think I figured it out.
From experience, I know that you cannot make a hoe a housewife.
Damn, that's a bar.
That I will say that he probably has more experience with that than anybody here.
That was a deep cut.
What I will say is that all the things being said at the combine, it was a few comments by our head coach that really piqued my interest and got me down this free agency rabbit hole on offense, because he's unlike Sean McDermott in a lot of ways. One of them is Sean McDermott was Coach Ambien. We joke about it all the time. We had to go do our own post-game press conferences out in the driveway, Chris, because our head coach wouldn't say anything of note.
Yeah, he gave you nothing.
So we were going to give people just a drunk guy screaming, and then he would pull a bucket of chicken out from inside the podium and start eating it while answering questions. Live on Periscope.
Paramount.
In my driveway. So with that said,
with your child,
yeah, with the kid, you hand me a baby. Put a baby in my hands while I scream into this microphone.
Somebody give me a baby now.
You get here, and you have a coach who can't stop talking. He's saying a lot of things. And first of all, his cadence is hilarious because I think it throws a lot of older people off because he speaks so fast and tries to cram so many words into so many, like he's sucking all the air out of the room.
And then he adds the turn and the smile and the nod.
Yeah.
But you're just like, why are you interjecting that here? What's going on?
What's happening?
Do you know his crutch?
Huh?
And I understand that. That's his crutch. He says that a billion times.
Oh, that's fair.
A time. Next time you guys listen to a press conference or even go back, just go, he'll say something like, I understand that, or we understand that.
Yeah.
That's his crutch.
See, I copy my father. My father has a verbal one. I'm not going to give it to you because you'll pick it apart. But I now
We don't even know your father.
I could.
What are we doing here?
That's hilarious. He's factually correct, although Dave Gear will beat your ass for that.
What are we doing?
Out of all the things that I love how Anthony's like, why do I come here? I just get stuck in the middle of these uncomfortably mean conversations.
The pizza and the drinks.
It's the
They're
pizza
just so
and the
good.
drinks. So you get to this place where Brady's saying a lot of things.
Yeah.
And he says some things that really catch people's attention.
Yeah.
Like this.
No different than Khalil and everybody else, right? It's as we put together this roster, just finding different ways to utilize the guys where it's not the same year in and year out. And I think Khalil can play inside and outside, right? And there's really not a lot of things Khalil can't do. And as we watch cut-ups and as we go through things and put it all together, it's there's definitely ways to get the ball in his hands in different ways. And we have to continue to grow his game because he's such a huge component to our offense, right? He's one of our best football players, and when the ball's in his hands, good things is happening, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be in a short range. You know what I mean?
There you go, from BuffaloBills.com.
Okay. Now you want to talk about crutches and you want to talk about like picking apart someone's linguistic skill. I don't ever want to hear my head coach use the phrase "good things is happening."
Oh, that's fair.
You sound like you sound like the guy that Chris and I joke you are, who hangs out at Caputi's in Tonawanda.
Sounds like the Southern Bayou guy.
on Tuesday night.
Happening.
Good things is happening, y'all, down on the bayou.
The water boy, that coach.
Yeah.
Okay, that aside, that statement right there was a polarizing piece of commentary among our fan base, and it set the internet on fire. And I want your opinion. Do you believe that this coming out now as vociferously as he is on behalf of what Shakir's role is and his belief in him, is that throwing McDermott under the bus?
So that sentence at the end, right, really the whole thing, but especially the one at the end, like, oh, and it doesn't always have to come in the short range, you know what I mean? I don't know if he, you know, again, and some of it could be the roster that they had, right? They didn't have the right guys to stretch the field to help give Shakir room. So, you know, what he was limited because the bodies they had were limited and the skill sets and the traits, and maybe that's it, right? I'm trying to see it from all angles. Or maybe he's making a joke towards himself, like he knows that everybody was giving the Bills offense and him flack for how he used Shakir, and so that's why he was making it. Or maybe he's throwing McDermott under the bus. I find it hard to believe that Joe Brady, who was the pass game coordinator at LSU, and also wasn't running or controlling the run game for the offense. Aaron Kromer designed it and called it on game days. I find it hard to believe that Sean McDermott was dictating to Joe Brady how Khalil Shakir was used. I find it hard to believe Sean McDermott was like, I think Khalil Shakir's average depth of target should only be like 50 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's what I just don't think that was the case. Now, could it be? Sure, absolutely. Or maybe there was some larger scale thing McDermott wanted.
So we work in businesses.
Brady.
People get scapegoated all the time. It's really easy to blame the person who's not here.
This, to me, I made that joke on my show this week. I like some of the things that Brady said, and especially some of the things that Beane said, made me think of like, you were supposed to do a project and like Timmy just got fired and your boss comes to you and you're like, hey, you know, you got that project, and you're like, oh no, I didn't do the project.
I delegated it to Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy was supposed to do it, and the boss is like, oh, Timmy, well, you know what, Drew, do you mind handling it? You're like, yeah, I got it.
I've got this.
Yeah, which Timmy's already gone. Let's dump it all at Timmy's feet as much as we can. Beane had a comment later about like passing on guys in free agency in the draft because of scheme fit and all these things. But this Brady one, like, I just find it hard to believe that Sean McDermott was dictating to Joe Brady how Khalil Shakir was used, or from a large scale perspective, how the passing offense was working. Would it be short?
I agree with you, but for different reasons. I agree with you because I remember the one time when Sean McDermott tried to get involved in the offense, And they ran the shit out of the ball, even when it was to their own detriment. He was like, I don't give a shit about these wide receivers. I want you to run the football. And then you lose a game to Jacksonville where you score 6 points and Sean McDermott goes, all right, maybe I made a mistake. Now you guys are like, oh, you're speculating. No, I know. I know that there was a power struggle, and you wonder why there's no love lost. After that Giants-Bills game, there's a reason Sean McDermott and Brian Dable did not shake hands. When that happened, when Sean McDermott got his chance to have input on the offense, you know what he said? Run the ball, don't throw it. So do you think he would give a damn he's going to dig into the minutia of whose role is what in the passing game? Absolutely not. He took the caveman's approach to offense when he tried to have influence over it, realized that was a bad idea, and said, all right, Jesus, take the wheel. I can't touch that.
I mean, in fairness to him, the Bills needed a pivot, and they needed to run the football much better. Sure. Now, did they have to swing the pendulum so far in that direction? Absolutely not.
No, but still,
I hate the idea that the running the football is a caveman's approach. I think running the football makes sense.
But when he got it, he was like, guys, we have to play protection.
Oh, understood.
We have to protect the ball. We can't be turning it over because my defense needs to be fresh.
Fair.
He did a lot of things.
Fair, that's fair.
And so with that in mind, you look at the roster as it stands today, because here he is talking about Shakir, and I believe in Shakir, and I believe in all these things, and he's the most talented guy, and good things is happening when you put the ball in his hands.
Good things is happening.
Well, you look at the roster as it stands today ahead of free agency. We have 5 guys under contract. Usually you go to camp with what, 9 or 10?
Yeah.
Okay. So minimum you have to go find 5 more bodies. Yeah. But even beyond that, of those 5, Samuel's probably going to get released for cap considerations.
Yes.
Shavers has an ACL injury, so you're not going to see him until maybe late in the season. And then what's his role, depending on what gets done here in the offseason? Maybe he comes back and this is just a lost season where Shavers is on the practice squad and you go, or he's on the roster. Maybe he's released with an injury settlement and added again later. I don't know. But these roster spots are going to be at a premium for this team. Yeah. And you're now talking about a team with exactly 3 wide receivers capable of contributing on game day.
And Keon Coleman is still a big question as well.
And so this is funny because you see that, and I love that you led with that, because you see this video and hear this audio from our new head coach straight from your beloved NFL Combine in an interview with WGRZ's John Scott, who you should all be following on social media right now.
Just like our systems in place in the building, position groups, that's something after every season that we look at and we're like, all right, what do we have to do differently? Who do we have? What are some different pieces that we can use? And look, there's a lot that obviously goes into it, right? It's, when your quarterback's making as much money as he is, it's hard to, you're going to have to build through the draft. You're going to have to do a lot of those things, but we take a lot of pride of figuring out what we have in the rooms and making it work. And I had a lot of, I had a lot of faith in the receiver group last year. And look, I didn't think they played to the point I'm getting a lot of the questions about, but I'm excited about the group that we have returning, and I know we're going to always look to find ways to improve in all the position groups, but I'm a receiver at heart, so I'm always going to want wideouts. It's natural.
That comes from John Scott, WGRZ. He has a whole interview with Joe Brady you can find on WGRZ's YouTube.
First of all, the fact that he opened with he felt it necessary to throw in there, I had a lot of faith in those guys this year. Don't say that. Don't say that, because that it brings, first of all, you're just inviting criticism to yourself for something you didn't have. It's like he's putting himself under the bus for things that you don't have to even start that conversation. Also, he starts talking about the salary cap and, this is going to be hard and this, that. But he just keeps saying things. And there's a couple things in there that genuinely make me laugh. Mostly because the tone of what he just said. Think about that. Oh, I got a quarterback who's making this, but I want to add, but I'll see. I like the room. When you think back to Brandon Beane's tone, post-reconciliation is what I would call it, with the WGR crew. He went on the show. He cracked a couple jokes.
They pulled all the Bills and Sabres content from it.
Yeah, it was very funny, the timing of all that. But he showed up, and 6 minutes into the interview, cracks a joke that kind of, I think, eases the tension, and then they get to have a really natural conversation about the team and what his plans are. But you walked away from that conversation thinking that he understood that we had a wide receiver problem. And then I hear this from the head coach and I go, wait a minute, are they not talking? Are they not talking, or did I misunderstand? You've done this at work. You've gone into a meeting and you go, oh, we have a project and I think, or there's an initiative and I think I get it. And then later someone says something to you and you go, well, wait a minute, that's not what I understood this to be at all. And now you have to question, am I being gaslit? And if so, by who? How did I get confused? Because I'm pretty damn good at my job. Like, how did I end up in a place where I don't know what the hell we're talking about? When you hear that clip, what's your reaction?
I just think there's a lot of contradictions that are happening between like things Beane says and then Brady says and vice versa, or the things they say in one part of a presser and then say later. Like, there's just a lot of I'm very excited for Jim Leonard. I'm not very excited for Brandon Beane and Joe Brady still. And I don't think Brady's terrible. I don't think Beane is terrible. I just think there was a lot of muddiness and interconnectedness with the failures and shortcomings of this team the past several years. And I feel like more of it like keeps just being like, well, it was all Sean. It was all Sean. It was all Sean. And I agree Sean McDermott was part of the problem, but keyword there for me is part. And a guy who was a significant part of the problem, Brandon Beane, and then another guy in Joe Brady, who again, I don't think is terrible. I just think they keep coming off in ways that makes them seem, or makes it us look laughable as like an organization or a franchise. And yeah, I don't feel holistically confident in either of them, like, steering the ship. Why would I rather have Brandon Beane steering the ship than Terry Pegula? Yes, 1000%. I'd rather have a squirrel chase steering the ship. But
oh, you mean Jed Clampett? People thought it was so funny when I'm like, no, define the lie. This is a guy who struck oil, got it out of the ground, got rich, and decided to go buy a sports team. And now he's going to go out there and just hee-haw his way through a press conference where he doesn't understand what not to say.
No.
He doesn't understand, hey, Terry, it's not your time to talk.
The thing that's always going to get me about that presser.
The look on Beane's face when
it looks like you don't
Pegula feels like he has to jump in and interject, and Beane's like, what are you doing?
Exactly. The one that gets me the most, though, that I haven't seen people talk about enough, for me at least, he essentially made the decision, right? He said throughout multiple times in that first presser, Pegula said, the roster was great, and the way that Beane and the personnel department gave this great roster. And then he said other things like, I looked in the locker room and, you're trying to figure out how we get over this hump. How do we get past this? And I realized Sean isn't the guy for that, right? And at the end of the presser, and he got better as the presser went on, but at the end, somebody asked him, I don't remember who, so apologies, but somebody asked him, how do you look at like the shortcomings, and I'm paraphrasing, how do you look at the shortcomings and failures of this team and decide it's coaching versus the roster? And he goes, wow, that's a really hard question. I don't know how to answer that. The fuck you mean you don't know how to answer that? You decided that it was the coaching. You looked at the team and you said it was Sean McDermott. So like, and I don't even need you to give me a great answer, but you should have an answer. You decided that we had lemonade and apple juice in the house, and you decided that lemonade was bad. So if somebody asks you, how do you decide if lemonade is bad or apple juice is good? And you say, oh, I don't know. You fucking know. You should have an answer. And that goes back to the over idea of, I still say this, I meant it jokingly, or like at times when I always think it's serious. I think Terry Pegula walked in on that Monday morning after they lost, knocked on Brandon Beane's door, was like, hey, Brandon. And Beane was like, hey, Terry. And he was like, hey, how was your weekend? And Beane was like, well, and then Terry Pegula cuts him off. He's like, I'm about to fire Sean. You want to come in the office with me and do it? And then Beane's like, what? Like, I just think, like, what do you mean you don't know how to decide if it's the coach or the roster? Because that you decided it was the coach. You should have some semblance of reasoning. And from then on, I feel like Beane has been trying to clean up his messes, but Beane has his own messes to clean up. And so there's too many messes. There's too much muddiness. Brady is excited and exuberant, but not saying the right things and not saying horrible things. But it's just all, I'm pumped for Jim Leonard. And I'm trying to just focus on Jim Leonard.
I love that we're going to be able to look back on that 5 minutes of audio right there 5 years from now. If the Bills don't win a Super Bowl, and I'm going to go, that was the moment. That was the watershed moment where Anthony Prohaska lost his mind because he saw it before the rest of us did. What was about to take
There's
place.
A multitude of things, right? McDermott could have been the problem, and the Bills could be better for it. He could have been the problem, and they could be worse. They could be even. He could have not been the problem, and they could be better. He could have not been the problem, and they could be worse. There's so many things, but my issue with it is,
you got to know.
I would like to know, and also, the logic doesn't seem sound, because if Sean McDermott is getting clipped, then Brandon Beane should have got clipped.
Bang.
And also, I'm not saying I want that, because Oh, I would have liked it, yes, but that means Terry Pagula would have been the one doing all the hiring and running the ship, and I don't want that. But there's just, again, I think there's just so many.
There'd be someone eating dog biscuits right now in Delaware Park.
There's just so many Beane and Brady, like the clips that we're going over. There's just, this isn't us even like nitpicking or it's just like blatant things that you're like, dude, and that doesn't mean they'll be bad, but it's just like, it's not good.
I have Josh Allen. We're never going to be terrible. But it's like, damn it, I thought the reason we're making these changes is to get better, and it doesn't feel like we love Joe Brady as a CEO head coach. He's running the offense. How is he going to be the CEO? That doesn't make sense. So when I think about this and all the things, because we just did a dissertation. Now that we can actually get into this conversation, for everyone who's like, you bloviated about coaching and all these other things not related to the title of the show, the free agency approach. No, I love it. That's why we love having you here.
Medium rare plus.
Medium rare. No, this is why I love our show, because I get to do whatever the fuck I want. If we're having a fun conversation, we have that conversation.
Yeah, if you want Anthony Prohaska, medium rare, go watch this guy's coverage on YouTube. If you want him medium rare plus, you come to the Rockpile Report.
So with that said,
5 extra seconds on the grill.
So with that said, I think about the type of wide receiver, because throughout this commentary, the thing you keep hearing is we need the right type of body.
Yeah.
We need the right guy. We need this. We need that to unlock Khalil Shakir, because he's the closest thing we have to a proven commodity. Now, we're going to talk about what the Bills have to acquire. But I start thinking about what else you need to support him. What type, archetype, fit. And that's why I think free agency gets real lazy. There's a lot of lazy free agency coverage, because a lot of it, listen, I've been doing this for a decade now. Do you know how stupid I look back? I go back and try to listen to my old shows, and I cringe, because I go, all we were doing was looking at names and seeing who could fit in the salary cap. We were never thinking about who are you as a player schematically.
Oh, that's true.
What are your strengths?
That's a terrible process.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course it's a terrible process. Yeah. We're not professionals. Well, that guy is. Me, I just...
Yeah, we could do what we want.
You're the
we
talent.
could do what we want because you weren't on the scene. There was no Joe Marino. Oh. Eric was just
back
getting
then,
started.
We could just do this, and everyone bought it. And now you guys are out here doing the actual work, and I have to sit here and go, well, shit, I don't know that. I better go get me an Anthony Prohaska and bring him in here. Have him. I'm essentially Joe Roganing this thing, where I'm like, I'm going to find other people who are smart, and I'm going to try to have intelligent conversations with them. So with that, I look at the types of wide receivers that this team would need to magnify the impact of this guy, who our head coach is telling you, if you put the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen, which we've all seen. Yes. The contact balance, the fact that in terms of generating first downs, regardless of your yardage from the sticks, is crazy how good Khalil Shakir is.
He's like a running back once he gets the ball in his hands.
So then the idea is, how do you amplify that, and how do we bring in the right types? And I guess the first question is, out of type, an archetype of player that it would take to pair with that in a complement, do you think that player is on the roster right now?
No.
At all, in any capacity?
No.
Okay, well, it's funny you say that, because once again, the head coach does not agree with you.
Well, that's fine. I mean, he knows a lot more football than me. He might
Chris?
Be right.
Chris, you want to hit us with the audio?
I stood on the table for Keon Coleman. I told Keon, as soon as I got hired, when I called him, I said, look, man, the best thing to happen to you is me being your head coach. Like, the faith I have in you, we're going to make it work together. And I know the quarterback has the confidence in him, and he's obviously, when you go through some early in your career, your second year in the league, and you're, hey, I'm inactive, like, what's happening? There's a lot of pressure that comes with being the top pick, right? And I'm understanding of that, but I'm also understanding that I was the one that wanted him. And I'm not saying it was only me, but I wanted him, and I'm going to do everything I can to work with him to make it work, because he has all the talent, and he's when you see him out there and he's making plays, good things happen. And I love him, and I want the best for him.
And that's Joe Brady from CBS Sports, and we understand that.
We understand that.
Nice.
We don't understand that, because I just think you said a whole bunch of things that fly in the face of literally everything.
I like that he confirmed that he wanted him, though, because when Pagula said Beane didn't want him at the presser, everybody was like, oh, it was a McDermott pick. And it was like, no, it was a Brady and a wide receivers coach pick.
So one of the things I first think of when I hear that audio is I think of the phone call, the famous recorded phone call between Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, where he was like, hey, I'm here to make you the best version of you.
He did do that. It just turns out that best version still isn't good.
But I think of Keon Coleman and I go, man, you get strippers over at your apartment on weeknights that you're flying in from Canada. And like, what's happening here? Can you fix that, Joe Brady? Can you make this kid a professional? I don't think you can. Or allegedly, I should say that before I get sued. Allegedly, there was dancers on weeknights, the whole thing. Yeah, but I'm the best thing that happened to you. That's not good. Because if you're the guy who loved him and this was going on under your watch and you weren't like, hey man, I vouched for you, knock it off.
Yeah, right.
You don't stop by his locker once and go, hey, pick it up.
Yeah.
We've all anybody who's ever managed someone out there. I'm looking at you, Chris. Give me my single. We've all managed somebody who's difficult, but you got to tell them they're being difficult. So if Joe Brady's not having it, like, hopefully he's had those conversations with him, because otherwise you're signing yourself up for more difficulty.
Yeah.
Can the Bills really afford to double down on Palmer, Shakir, and Coleman being the top three?
I think,
I think this dictates the road you take in free agency.
Yes.
With this position.
I think from a pure wide receiver perspective, no. I don't think you can rely on Keon Coleman. Also, even, that Joe Brady part that you mentioned too, like, I feel like Joe Brady is very much like the best friend head coach versus like the authoritarian. And that can work out great, or it can go terrible in a hurry because people will be like, oh, I don't have to respect that guy's authority. He's my best friend.
Today, the results of the NFLPA player poll leaked. And for like the third or fourth year in a row, the Miami Dolphins are one of the league's favorite teams to play for.
Oh, yeah.
They just suck on the field.
Yeah, terrible, yeah.
You don't need to like where you work. Just shut up and win.
That's fair. So I wonder Brady's coaching style. We'll find that out in time, I guess. But yeah, just looking at it as a top three of like Palmer, Shakir, and Coleman, no, I don't think so. Now, it depends for me on how healthy Dalton Kincaid is. If Dalton Kincaid is healthy and good and is able to contribute for a full regular season.
I love that you're saying that with a straight face.
Right. I think that changes the math a little bit, because Dalton Kincaid, I think he gets left out of the wide receiver conversation a lot.
Sure.
It's understandable. He's not a wide receiver. But he
can't. But I can't have that. I can't have the most explosive piece of my offense playing 20%.
No,
of my
I
snaps.
agree, and I'm not saying the most explosive piece, but he was brought in to be the tip of the spear for the passing offense, and he's not. Now, again, we can dissect that in a million different ways.
What if they go sign Travis Kelce in free agency?
Why does that help? He's got no legs left.
Get Travis. It would get Taylor Swift to the games.
I don't want that. He's got no legs. He's got no legs left.
I'm just one bad idea after another.
Not great. He need, like, if Kincaid can stay healthy, that'd be great. I don't think he can. It's a conversation for another time. But just looking at the top three, I like Josh Palmer. I think he's good underneath in the intermediate as a separator. But
he also has 3 straight seasons of 9 or fewer games played.
Fair point. He's got injury concerns. And at his best, he was a wide receiver 3 who could maybe be like a low-end wide receiver 2, maybe. And that's at his very best. He's a career wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Keon Coleman, you have no idea what you're going to get. Shakir is sweet, but he has a role in a niche. And I think he can do more, but it's still not complete.
So you're looking at overhaul. You need to rebuild
I think you need
room.
2 top of the depth chart bodies, and at the very least, one of them needs to have a field stretching component. You need to have some combination of bucket getter, speed element. It could all be in one guy. It could be a little in both. It could be either or. You need to have 2 top of the depth chart guys that have some semblance of verticality, field stretching, and bucket getting.
So now when I look at this, we've talked about this for a couple weeks now. Wide receiver and edge are the 2 places that I think if you, in this offseason, you want to go out there and hit a home run, legitimate home run in the offseason, you're not getting it from free agency.
I think you could do it at safety.
Maybe safety.
Yeah.
You might be right. But on offense,
for me at least,
and defense, when you talk about the cardinal positions that usually get paid the most, it's usually offensive line, it's edge, and it's wide receiver. The guys who get paid a premium, there's no one out there on the market that you're going to go wow your fan base with if you buy them in free agency. You're going to have to make a trade. And so with that, I looked at what's out there. And I boiled it down to what seems reasonable. Because the people who are like, go get Justin Jefferson, the Minnesota Vikings are never letting that guy go unless literally everyone gets fired and he's 2 years older. I think by the time he's old enough to be traded, it won't matter for Josh Allen anymore. So this pipe dream everyone has about this is dead. I look at Brian Thomas Jr., Jordan Addison, and Jerry Jeudy. These are the 3 most reasonable trade candidates. All of them have a cap hit of less than $7 million. And they're already a better value than Curtis Samuel, who you were paying more money than that. So there's that. Jeudy and Thomas each reached at least a 1,200-yard season at some point in the last couple of years. And Addison had 19 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons before he decided that he wanted to be the guy on the other end of the phone that Jim Carrey was screaming at when he picked up the phone and yelled, "Stop breaking the law, asshole!" So with that in mind, they're not the same player, right? They all have different, some a little longer in the tooth. One of them has more volatility. One of them is a smaller frame, has a very different play style. All of them can play outside. You know, Brady made a few waves when he's like, "Oh, Khalil, he can play inside, outside." No, he can't. Don't do that. He on the outside, not good.
I think he can play a little more on the outside than he has, but not to the level that he was doing at Boise State. Not like a. He's never going to be like a 30-40% outside guy.
No, so don't do that. Don't build your NFL team around that concept. That's a losing idea. So if you were to go chase one of these three, to me, these are 3 guys who are reasonable for a day 2 pick, and maybe even you got to throw in a roster player, but you can make it work. Of those 3, what are your thoughts?
Individually, the Addison like off the field stuff worries me a little bit. I liked him a lot at USC coming out. And he's still young, and I think he's the better wide receiver than Brian Thomas right now. I'm a bit down on Brian Thomas Jr., just of all the Jags tape I watched this year, and then his route tree is still incomplete. You got the whole stuff of like, oh, is he scared to go over the middle? Does he not want to catch over the middle? And then Trey White had a really great year. And
we were just talking about a guy before we started recording who we were joking about was big for no reason. Brian Thomas Jr. does when you watch him play, even in that playoff game. I watched the lack of physicality in his game, and I was like, I thought you were huge.
No, he's never played like that. He's a size and speed guy who plays to the speed. His whole thing at LSU was really
looks
just
like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
I'm not going to go that far. But the majority of reps, like if you go back and watch the LSU tape of like, wow, look at him killing it. It's just like it's 60% of the time he's running slot fades, and then there's like some posts and stuff. But he's not playing like a power forward, even though he might have some of that size. He's a speed guy in a power forward body, which is cool.
Well, in his limited route tree might be the reason he struggled when Cohen took over and revamped the playbook. And then everyone was like, oh, yeah, in a very simple offense, he did great. And also, the second you made his role more complicated, he struggled.
And also look at who succeeded immediately when he came Jacoby Myers, because Joey and Parker Washington, both of those dudes who were like, oh, yeah, I'll go run a dig over the middle and catch the football. Sure, why not? And Brian Thomas is all like goes, out routes, and maybe like a hitch or a slant. And I think his skill set could be useful to the Bills because he can stretch the field and he can win downfield. But I mentioned the Trey White piece, and I thought Trey White had a great year. I think a lot of people have come around to that. He especially got really good down the stretch. He locked up Thomas in that playoff game. And I'm just like, I don't want to give up a lot for a guy who got
shut down by Trey White.
By this version of Trey White. And again, not that Trey's bad. I want him back. Give me him a CB3 and a CB2 as needed. Cool, awesome. But Thomas has him on the speed, the size, the frame.
Didn't matter.
He couldn't do shit.
Nope.
And so that worries me a little bit. And then again, you look at the offense, how it took off with Myers. Again, and he wouldn't be, they took him with a high first-round pick. He wouldn't even be considered if he wasn't going to be a problem. And that to me is also like, okay, this team's ready to jettison him, but you think he's going to be your savior? Like, that's maybe a little wonky.
Yeah.
But I think I think the likelihood of it is less now that Travis Hunter's going to play corner. I think they're going to roll with Thomas, Washington, Myers, and Brenton Strange at tight end.
So out of that group, Addison would be the most attractive to you.
I like Jeudy as a player. He's great route runner, has some speed, good hands. Bama, boo. I've liked him since Bama. I always thought if he could get a consistent quarterback with him, like in the NFL, he could be a really sick wide receiver. I just haven't watched enough of him over the past couple of years because I don't watch a lot of Browns offense. Because
no one does.
Did you ask me? You go, hey, I heard that there's a video of some guy throwing cats in a bag over a dam, and I go, well, what's my alternative? And they go, the Browns offense, and I have to give it pause for a second. I go,
is that a pun? Get it?
No, it's literally me going, it's literally just me going, I don't know. I guess I'll watch the Browns offense.
I've watched them in passing as like I'm watching teams that are playing the Browns offense, but I'm not like watching for Jeudy and watching that offense. But I think I would welcome him
I think we could get him more for a less compensation.
Then
I think the Browns are one of those teams that are just like, look, we don't know what we know we have to tear down.
They got a Pro Bowl quarterback. Crazy.
We know that this is bad. We know we have to fix it. That's where we go with this.
They have no offensive line. Their whole offensive line is
yeah. And so if you can give them a 3rd round pick,
you give a 3rd round pick for Jeudy?
If I would give a 3rd round pick for Jeudy. I would do a 3rd round. 3rd round pick. We eat $6 million in cap space.
Can't you just do over the Amari Cooper trade?
Yeah, that's it. All you're getting is an Amari Cooper redo for a player who just 2 years ago had a 1,200 yard season.
A 12 million yard
12
season?
million yard season.
Jesus, what?
It's all that vermouth.
What?
So I'm just saying, I think it's worth considering that Jerry Jeudy might actually be one of the better trade targets for the Bills if you were trying to do that.
I think that's fair.
If you had to go to market, you said a trade's out of the question because Beane loves his draft picks and we need to get cap solvency here. Romeo Doubs has to at least be up there.
It's him for me and no one else. I'll cut it off.
Because Brandon Cooks, everyone's like, oh, well, Cooks can come back and he can do this. Doubs would give you that in spades plus more.
Well, I would like Cooks back, but I'd like him as like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5.
Yes.
Yeah, not as like the top of the depth chart.
Can I get me a Romeo Doubs? I was shocked that he wasn't more available at the trade deadline. That's a player who I think Green Bay really like. If Green Bay,
I think Matthew Golden's injuries were a problem, and they felt like they couldn't. Spare him.
This is where if Green Bay wanted to maximize what they could have gotten for Romeo Doubs, really have gotten something in this entire thing.
That's fair.
They should have done it in training camp. They could have arguably gotten a day 2 pick, maybe a 3rd.
If their offense was, if Tucker Kraft doesn't go down. And Love got hurt too in their own line a little bit. I mean, that offense is arguably the best in the NFL with all those receivers. I like them. Their line was good. Jordan Love is a top tier QB, and their receivers are sick. What? And Matt LaFleur and that run game, and Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft is arguably the best tight end.
I'm going to hit you with something from Moneyball. Brad Pitt. He was like, well, if they score a ton of points, then how come they don't win good? How come they have to go on the road in the playoffs?
Well, we just said it. They had injuries to their quarterback. They had injuries to the offensive line. Tucker Kraft got hurt and was out for the entire year. Matthew Golden
so it could
have
been cool, but it wasn't.
Yeah, but it's not because they failed. The guys who were good weren't able to play all the time. And a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah, but that's a bigger difference. That's an important thing.
I'm allowed to be bearish on the Green Bay Packers just because everyone goes, well, everyone got hurt. I go, no, because I've seen.
Because of the Chicago Bears? You're just breaking them all out in this episode. Look at you.
I've seen what you're capable of when you were healthy and you had a really great game and then you against the Cowboys and then you followed up with.
They still weren't healthy, though.
So are they ever going to be healthy?
I don't know.
Are we going to be talking about them the same way we talk about the Bengals, where it's Captain If? If Joe Burrow is healthy,
what I'm saying is, if you are looking, if all things are equal and everyone's offense in the NFL is healthy, I think the Green Bay Packers are one of the best offenses in the NFL easily.
So with that in mind, Romeo Doubs was a guy they said was not dispensable. So then he should be interesting in free agency.
Yeah, I think
he's a player you should probably be investigating in terms of your needs and whether or not you think he would vibe with your scheme.
I 1,000%. He is my top wide receiver target.
And for those of you who want to know why, go check it out over at Disguise Coverage.
Thank you.
Anthony Prohaska's podcast, where he did a full breakdown on his love affair with Romeo Doubs. I know this. This is called professional podcasting, sir. You're going to have to go to his podcast to go find out why. Go give him that click. Why? Because I want you to. Then if you really want to be a cheapskate about it, like one of my father's famous quotes was, only suckers pay retail.
Oh, that's such a popular quote, though. I've heard that so much.
See, it's one of those things. I'm sure he didn't invent it, but he said it a lot. Tutu Atwell.
No.
You want Cooks. You're like, I'd be happy with Cook back.
I mean, Tutu Atwell will be fine. Last year he got 1 year, $10 million. Dude can absolutely fly, but he's just too gimmicky. When he's in there, you know exactly what's going to happen. But if you're
signing him to it, so now everyone will have learned their lesson and gone, hey, so this is your role. But if I can get you on a much smaller contract be this one, like let's say it's $3 million.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so if I can go to him and say, hey, 1 year, $3 million, but you get to play with Josh Allen, who's got a cannon for an arm, and he just needs somebody to go run underneath that ball. We haven't been able to find that guy. Can you be that guy? Here's $3 million. Go try to be that guy. he could be your wide receiver 5, and you would be much better off for it.
Give you some gadget opportunity and some real juice. Yeah, that's fair.
I don't hate the idea. I view him as a younger. I mean, like, I think last year the biggest thing that hurt him was that the Rams went from 11 personnel
to 13.
Yeah. They ran more tight end sets, just like the Bills did, and said, hey, we don't need 3 wide receiver sets.
Which I think is such a funny thing that Bills fans in particular are always like, oh, McVay's amazing. And then like they look at what the Rams are doing and the Bills are all
doing the same thing.
Correct, but they don't recognize that, which is funny.
We're doing the same things.
Yeah.
And then also, can I interest you in some Juju Smith-Schuster?
Absolutely the fuck
Of course not, because it's a terrible idea. And the first person to bring it up.
Oh, I see the notes. That was a joke.
If I hear someone bring up the name Juju Smith-Schuster, you should be shot in the street as an example to other people with bad opinions.
I didn't see the notes.
You guys think this is bad? Just wait to see what happens when that guy shows up here in a Bills uniform, drops 3 passes in the same game, and then is later dancing on TikTok in the locker room. I'd want to go T-bone his vehicle while he's leaving the facility.
I didn't see the notes. I just read the top bullet, and I was like, no.
So with wide receiver churned over at this point, and us kind of getting long in the podcast, one of the things that I really want to talk about, we know they have to address the offensive line. They're going to have a plan for that. It's a crucial piece of this offense.
It's huge.
That dude from Tennessee, is he not an option?
Who?
Didn't they release their center?
Oh, Bradbury?
No, they just released.
Oh, Christian Berry, the other Berry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Is that that's not a thing?
I have to go back and Tennessee's another team that like I watched for Cam Ward, but didn't watch enough of I watched some of like their tackle play and Skoronski and everything, but not enough of Christian Berry to kind of get a true feel. And I thought them releasing him is worrisome to me because I feel like if he was a core piece, you'd want him there for Cam Ward's development and the rest of the group. So
that could be one of the, and this is where I get worried when people are like, well, you could probably get McGovern back. That might be a team that's going to pay Connor McGovern.
I think Connor McGovern's going to get like paid.
Yes, it could be the Titans that go, hey, this guy did great last year, and we know that we can't get top of market, so because we have too much other building to do, but we can get the 3rd best center and bring him in here to protect our rookie.
And I know the guard market is really what's going up, but like I think the interior offensive line in general, I think like smart centers are going to start coming back a little bit. I would say you got a 4-year, $50 million deal was the one he got in Tennessee. So yeah, that's interesting that they're cutting bait already.
There are options out there, but I don't love any of them. Yeah. And so the Bills are in a weird place when it comes to that offensive line. Now you guys have talked about this ad nauseum over there at Cover One, and I love the coverage you've given it. To me, my eyes go to what's going on at the tight end room as we end the podcast because it's fascinating. I came into this offseason chalking Dawson Knox up as you're going to be a cap cut.
Same.
They have to cut you.
Same.
Because, you've performed well. You've never lived up to that contract extension.
Yeah, no.
But then you think about what the tight end position is, and maybe some of this is when I say this, some of the people listening are going to go, ugh. But this is when I read Ty Dunn's book about the greatest tight ends to play the game, Blood and Guts, I read that book, and the greats are always talking about how it was catching the ball, but it was also just being tough and being available and being out there on the football field when your guy needed you. And I need to be able to be clutch when my quarterback needs me to be clutch. Dawson Knox doesn't give you almost anything between the 20s. But for some reason, when you get in the red zone, you have a Dawson Knox who just either occupies people or when he gets I go back to that Miami game where we score the go-ahead touchdown. He gets that ball and there's no stopping him. He's going to score. The New England game where Josh Allen's just like, screw it. There is a Dawson Knox back there somewhere and I'm going to give it a shot because I trust Knox. He's not going to let this get picked off. There's a lot that goes into being your quarterback's favorite tight end. And Dawson Knox has been that for Josh Allen. He's also been an integral part of, he's probably the best, I don't know what Jackson Hawes is because I've never seen him get the opportunities that Knox has had. Maybe he can fill that role. But it's a role to be filled on this offense that loves to run the ball and likes to run 13 personnel and likes to do these things. And so then, here I am coming in here saying, well, Dawson Knox has to be a goner because of his cap number. And then comes the combine interviews with Brandon Beane, where he's talking about, wow, it's a tough number, but I've got a real great relationship with his agent. I've had conversations with him since exit day, and we talk frequently, and we're working through some things. And it's like, holy shit, are you guys actually going to try to pull this thing off where you extend and restructure that deal? And that changes what I think you have to do on offense in a couple ways. Like when you think about the tight end room, it was our secret sauce last year. When you played 13 personnel football, you were really fucking good. You were one of the most efficient offenses in football when you played 13 personnel offense.
Especially when you don't have any wide receivers.
Yeah, when you don't have any wide receivers, you were kind of forced to do it.
Need a lot of 11, need a lot of 12 and 13.
So now you still don't have any wide receivers. So why would you eschew a part of the room that made you efficient when you had to do it? And I think that's what drives that. Am I wrong for thinking that? Like, this is more of a self-preservation thing for Beane, where he's like, I would cut you, but I have to try to find a way to make this work. Even if later it'll fuck me, I have to do this, because if I don't, I'm going to lose the only thing I know works.
Yeah, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here. Like, I've been talking since like October and November about cutting Dawson Knox, but I've also said like why he's needed. At the end of the day, he can't be on the roster at this current cap hit.
No,
like it's malpractice. Like, it's egregiously bad. I didn't like the contract when they gave it to him. Like, they were betting on things that I didn't think had a very realistic shot of happening, and they have not. But here's the deal. Not only is the tight end room important to the Bills, but you look at the makeup of the Bills tight end room. You have Dalton Kincaid, who I think is Allen's like top target when on the field, no matter what. He throws with anticipation to him. He trusts him. He works it to him. But there's two things wrong with Dalton Kincaid. One, he's not healthy. And it's the type of not healthy where he's not only missing games, but when he's playing, he's also on a pitch count. So it's not like, oh, well, he's suiting up and he's going to be able to give it a go. It's like he's suiting up, but he's going to be out there for maybe 15 plays and we'll see what happens. So you need Knox in there because you need a regular tight end, because one of your three main tight ends isn't available half the time. And when he is, he's a shell of himself. And then the other tight end is Jackson Hawes, who is an awesome blocker, but is nowhere near the pass catcher that Kincaid is, or honestly even Knox is. And then Kincaid, even if Kincaid was completely healthy and awesome, you can't line him up in line and do true tight end stuff. You could, but you're not going to run to him. So if Dalton Kincaid is attached to the line and you're adding him as the 6th or 7th man attached to the line, you know you're either running mid-zone away from him, or if you do happen to run duo towards him, the defense is going to lick their chops and beat the hell out of him and work their way through. So, like, Kincaid can't line up in line and do the run-blocking tight end stuff versus bigger bodies. Yes, before anybody yells, he's awesome in space on, like, nickels and safeties and corners. Sure, so are a lot of guys. That's awesome. Like, I'm not diminishing that, but he can't line up in line regularly. You just can't do that with him. And Hawes can't do the split-out pass-catching stuff that Kincaid can do, or even the stuff that Knox can do. Knox isn't what Kincaid is as a pass catcher, but you can still line up Knox in the slot.
He's a better athlete than Hawes.
Absolutely,
and the problem is you're not going to find a tweener like that.
No, and you need him because he's a little bit of Hawes, where you can line him up and line and block, and he's also a little bit of Kincaid. And not only do you need that bridge, but you also need it even more because Kincaid's never healthy.
And this is where you look at the market and what this year's tight end pool is, and it becomes problematic. Chris, if you want to go ahead and filter that for Anthony so we can see it, just so he knows I'm not talking shit. I've done my research. You're talking about Dallas Goedert, Isaiah Likely, David Njoku. These are free agent names that are out there.
Taysom Hill.
And I think that they are going to push Knox down the list of, hey, where can a tight end get paid? But even if a tight end's getting paid, like, he's still more money than we would want to give him, right?
Yeah, like I would like to, if I'm cutting Dawson Knox, it's because I want to replace him at easily under $10 million.
So let's talk about what this looks like, because I crunched the numbers. If you released him post June 1, you get a $12 million cap bump. Post June 1, you get $12 million of your cap space back.
Like 10.
If you cut him pre-free agency, you get 8.7 back. Okay.
And you can only designate 2 post June 1st cap cuts.
Yes.
And one of them should be Curtis Samuel because there's more money.
And so do you want to soak both of those up right away? I mean, I don't know, for a guy who you might kind of need.
They need him. They just can't have him at this cap hit and this money.
A 1-year extension and restructure. 1 year. And I know you hate void years, but if you tacked one on.
I don't hate him for the right person. I hate having to use a void year because you screwed up in giving someone a deal.
For sure, but really when you're talking about Josh Allen's prime
and his best friend,
it doesn't matter. If the Bills kick this all down the road 4 more years and we run into a cataclysm where we have to be what we were in 2018 again, it won't matter if you won a Super Bowl during that window.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So with that said, if you give him that extension and restructure, you could reduce his cap number to around $5 million. And he has to be open to that.
Yeah, I'll say his cap hit is what, like 17 mil?
17 million.
So that's so stupid.
So imagine if there's an avenue to where you can extend and restructure the player and then get your 12 million that you don't have to wait till June for now. Yeah. Because you have it. I just think you have to do that if you want this tight end room to continue being your saving grace.
Yeah.
You try to figure out whether or not you can cobble together a good wide receiver room for Josh Allen.
I think what's tough with it too is like he is really good friends with Josh Allen. And so like that aspect plays. And looking at the market right now, like I don't know what Kelsey's going to get or what's going to happen to him. I don't think
retirement.
Yeah, probably
retirement. And then he has to become a house husband where nothing would make me happier than hearing that like Taylor Swift comes home, walks in the door, and looks around the house, and he's like laying there playing video games, and she just browbeats him. That's funny. Like, what have you been sitting around all day? Like, nothing would make me. Where's dinner? Nothing would make me happier.
I think it'll depend on the health of Patrick Mahomes. Like, if Mahomes is really going to be out till like mid-October, I think he's like, oh, I'm kind of out with this. Looking at like these names of like affordability and role, the only one I'm looking at, like Tyler Higbee on like a 1 year maybe. Adam Troutman from Denver isn't horrible from a monetary perspective and role perspective. There's no easy answer.
But if you could get Knox for Higbee money, wouldn't you just take him?
Yeah, but
so if we can get him to that $5 million,
but it's not true Higbee money because I'm still having to rework that money down the road and pay for it. Which, to your point, if you win a Super Bowl, fine, that's great. I don't know. Yeah.
The tight end room is tougher than I think people give it credit for.
I've talked about this so much because it annoys the hell out of me. He just can't be on the roster at this contract, but he's also needed, or his role and skill set is needed, I should say.
I'll go and cut Dawson Knox at any cost if it allows the end of Mr. Brightside in the stadium.
I got to say, I hate that song so much now. I used to really, really like it back in 2006.
And the Bills ruined it.
Well, that was your first mistake. Don't like that song. It's crap.
Oh, no. It used to be such a good song.
It was never a good song.
Oh, that's false.
I can still picture working at Mighty Taco when it was popular and it was on the radio and it came on and there was some redheaded coworker of mine who was like singing it because she knew I hated it. And she was like,
and then you handed somebody some food through a hole in the wall?
No, you know what I used to do? If you came through and you gave the people at the drive-through sass, because we all wear headsets on the line.
I don't want to hear. Do I want to hear this?
So we can. No. Listen. So if you ever ordered from Mighty Taco between 2004 and
2025,
is it in Hamburg?
Understand that if you gave me sass. Not even me, but if you gave my people sass.
My people sass. It's a leader.
I'm on the line.
Ooh.
I'm the one making your food.
Front line.
And I hear you talking trash to the lady taking your order.
Fuck, boy.
No, you don't understand. I would do things like this where you go, like, especially if you're like, I want mild or I want it no hot sauce. And I would take your lettuce and I would soak it in that jalapeno juice and I would put it on your taco. And there was no way you could ever prove that I got you. And and when you drove off, I was hoping you were driving when you ate it. So you'd be like, oh my God, my mouth. And maybe swerving oncoming traffic. Yeah.
That's a lot, man.
Get some.
That's a lot. So you're out there trying to cause fatalities on the road.
I digress. What I know is I don't even know how we ended up here.
It's Dawson Knox's fault.
I blacked out. I blacked out and we ended up here. Someone said something on Mighty Taco.
Nobody said anything about Mighty Taco.
Yeah,
Nobody.
you brought that up on
You
your
brought that up unprompted.
I
Nobody
had a
said
rage
that.
blackout. We just saw it in live. Like you guys got to see what it's like being friends with me, where stuff just happens and I go down a rabbit hole. At the end of the day, you can be as angry as I was at people who use profanity, especially during fair season, against my coworkers at Mighty Taco. You can be as angry as I was
Fair season.
about some of the choices that are about to come down the pipeline. I think Bills fans need to prepare themselves to be a little angry about how this goes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of fans that think they're going to spend to the cap. They're going to spend or to spend to the ceiling. We're going to go revamp this offense. And you could argue after years of defensive investments, they're owed that. The contingent of people who want to see a cyborg like offense. We want to see Voltron.
Too bad they need
on offense.
Too bad they need a shit ton of defense because they have no bodies.
And this is it where you go, guys, I know that what you want and I know what they said, but what they said doesn't align with probably what's going to happen. And so that face right there tells the story. Guys, free agency is going to be wild this year for the Bills on offense because they're going to have to be cheap. And with that, I want you all to prepare yourselves for it. Say it with me, Chris. A goose fraba. Just relax. It's all going to be fine because we have the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
That's such a horrible reason.
And we're understanding of that.
That's very good.
Guys, on that note, we got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. That's Anthony Prohaska of Disguise Coverage and Cover One fame. And this has been your Rock Pile Report.